Another thing that really bothered me is this white woman named Helen Kane really sat there and stole from Esther Jones, aka Baby Esther. Stole her whole flow, her scatting, stole it from her. Copied her essence because she doesn't have shit to give to the world. It's unfortunate, but today we're going to talk about Esther Jones and her story, how she's the real fucking Betty Boop. Now, Betty Boop is the ultimate, probably the truly first sexualized female cartoon character for nearly a century, and she's been seen as the symbol of the 1930s it girl. In the late 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance is in full swing at the legendary Cotton Club. A young black performer named Esther Jones, better known as Baby Esther, is becoming a sensation. Esther wasn't just a singer, she was a master of baby talk scatting. She would interpolate songs with rhythmic, nonsensical syllables. Boop oop a doop. It was a mixture of innocence and sophisticated jazz timing. It was a specific, highly technical vocal style that required incredible breath control and personality. Her manager, Lou Bolton, would later testify that Esther's act was unique. She was a childlike persona with a grown-up jazz soul. People traveled from all over the city to see the girl who booped. And in 1928, one of those people sitting in the audience was a white vaudeville singer named Helen Kane. Helen Kane was looking for a break. After seeing Baby Esther perform, Kane's entire act changed overnight. She adopted the curls, the wide-eyed look, and most importantly, the booping. Kane took this style to Broadway and into the recording studio. She became the boop oop a doop girl, and she was a massive success, earning thousands of dollars a week at the height of the Depression. To the general public, Helen Kane was the inventor of the sound. She was the face of the flapper era. When Max Fleischer created Betty Boop in 1930, he initially drew her as a French poodle. But as the character evolved into a human, the animators looked at the biggest stars of the day for inspiration. They looked at Helen Kane. By 1932, Betty Boop was more famous than Helen Kane herself. Kane was furious, and she felt the cartoon was a parody that was stealing her livelihood. Fucking dumbass bitch. She sued Max Fleischer and Paramount Publix Corporation for $250,000, a fortune at the time, claiming they had unfairly used her image and her signature vocal style. Kane thought it was an open and shut case, but the defense had a secret weapon. Fletcher's lawyers didn't just argue that Betty Boop was a generic character. They argued that Helen Kane herself was a fraud. They brought Lou Bolton, Baby Esther's manager, to the stand. Bolton testified that he had taught Kane the Boop style after watched Esther perform in Harlem years prior. They came the smoking gun. The defense produced a sound film of Baby Esther performing. The judge watched as a young black woman, not Helen Kane, pioneered the very sounds that Kane claimed to own. The court's conclusion was devastating for Kane. Her style wasn't original. It was appropriated. She lost the case and her career never truly recovered. Now, the court recognized Esther Jones as the source, but the world didn't. Because of the Jim Crow era and the systemic racism of the 1930s, a black woman like Esther Jones could never be the face of a mainstream cartoon. The character of Betty Boop remained coded as white. The visual markers, the hoop earrings, the short hair, the jazz age dress were all taken away from the culture Esther lived in, but the credit was stripped away. While Betty Boop merchandise sold in the millions, Esther Jones faded into history. There are very few recordings of her left, and she didn't get royalties. She didn't get Hollywood contracts. She was the blueprint that was discarded once the house was built. So today, we are finally going to correct the fucking record and give Esther her flowers. When you see Betty Boop, you shouldn't just see a cute cartoon from the 30s. You should see the ghost of baby Esther. It is a reminder that history is often written by those who have the power to market it, not necessarily those who had the genius to create it. Esther Jones was the original. She was the rhythm, the voice, and the soul behind the icon. Share this video if you don't want Esther's history to be erased further than already what it is. But what's so interesting is from this website that I left in the description, it says, in fact, Helen Kane's boop routine was not boop, but poop. What the fuck? Which is why Kane never really owned boop a doop, because her original style was actually poop a doop. Oh, this silly ass bitch. She's such a silly ass bitch. But anyways, it says misinterpretation from the media is what actually created boop a doop, not Kane. Kane created poop a doop. After the media got mixed up, Kane decided to call herself the boop a doop girl. But yet she still got caught up regardless. Silly ass bitch. Now, Esther Jones has done boop a doop routine in the mid 1928, but it really doesn't hide the fact that she scat sang before Kane, and Kane practically started scat singing in 1928. Esther Jones began in 1925. Both their connections to Tony, which is their fucking manager that they share, the manager that brought her there in the first place, that brought her to the Cotton Club. But both of their connections proves that Kane saw Esther perform on stage, and not too long after, Kane started to experiment by putting scat sounds into her songs. Weird ass bitch. Stealing from a black person's talent. Of course. In court, Helen Kane even tried to claim she had no idea what hot licks and scat singing or scat rhythm was, though everyone else in music business did, indicating that Helen Kane lied in court. Helen Kane also admitted that there were other baby singers that had preceded her on the stage. This is what also seared her fucking fate, dummy bitch. But also, I just want to mention that, I always wonder, why didn't Esther, handle this? Why is there not much cover about Esther? Like, it's not really any media that's saying, like, oh, Esther is so upset, and we usually think of, when we come to the story, like, oh, Esther's a grown-ass woman. Like, what the fuck happened to her? Esther ain't grown at all. When she was doing that, she was practically like 14 years old. She was a whole child. But to get to the point, the Afro-American urged Esther Jones to sue Helen Kane. Esther, however, did not pursue Kane. She was not interested. When asked about Helen Kane's lawsuit, Saunders told a newspaper in late 1934 that she was the original. Now, Saunders, who told the newspaper, declared that it was she who had created boop a doop long before Betty Boop and Helen Kane were known. Now, like I already touched on, due to age fabrication, it is hard to actually pinpoint Esther's real age, as she's said to have been built very small and petite. A 1930 article from Berlin, Germany indicates that Esther was 14 years old in 1930. If this is true, Esther Jones would have really been around 11, 12 in 1928. Jones was still a girl rather than a grown woman, which is, like I already said, we often mistake today by thinking this lady was lady. No, she was a whole child. On top of that, even if it was a parody and let's say the whole history is twisted up, parodies is considered fair use and often protected by the Copyright Act. So once again, she looks like a dummy ass bitch. Nothing else I could really find on Esther Jones, unfortunately, because she eventually just faded away from the limelight. She didn't care to do any legal action, so eventually she just faded away. Like I said, sources will be included, but pretty much Esther Jones performed continually until 1934, where she was in between 14 and 15 years old. Her life was already not strange enough. This is where things really take a turn. Pretty much the last time Esther Jones was recorded performing was in 1934 as an acrobat when she was supposedly 15 years old. After that, there is nothing. And she may have died in 1934. But no one knows where Esther Jones went, pretty much. Oh, that is a pretty bleak ending to the story about Esther Jones. That's why I kind of find it important to just make sure we in the big 2026, Gen Z, millennials, all of us just remember Esther Jones as the original Betty Boop, because they don't really care to really tell you out loud, oh, hey, guys, hey, everyone, Esther Jones was the original. Like, you know, it really takes individuals to really bring this up and bring it to light and make sure she gets the credit she deserves. You know, Esther's been in the limelight since she was like a child, like a baby, like 4 fucking years old to 6 years old, all the way till she stopped doing it. So I just find it important to make sure we remember this information. But thank you so much for watching this video, supporting my channel. Please subscribe, notifications on. You want to hear more from me? I got my store linked in bio called DG Appliances. Now, I have other business adventures in mind, so I don't know how long I'm going to keep the website up. But if you're interested in a portable air conditioner or a makeup cleaner, go ahead and swipe that up while you can. I am proud of this website. I really like my name. I like this shit. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.